now is a pivotal time in America. It is. Some of you may say, no, our team won, we dunked on you. And I say, get off of Reddit. Stop. You gotta stop being eternally on the internet and pay attention. It's surprising to me at how many people think being American is being against other Americans. It's weird. I like to ask people to step back, take a deep breath, and think about what is being said. Think about the things that are going on. Think about the meme culture, folks. The meme culture. Here's an example of America right now. For those space future aliens that are receiving this teleportation of information in video form, this is the year of our Lord 2025. And as that article is from 2012, and ABC News reported on North Korea reportedly punishing insincere mourners. Now I bring you to America, where the Pentagon cracks down on troops' social media posts about Charlie Kirk. And then you had, the president, the regime, and most Republicans saying you don't get free speech if you don't mourn the way the government wants you to mourn here in America over their podcaster, chief minister of podcasting propaganda. If you don't mourn sincerely, we will punish you. The government will threaten companies, and we will make sure you pay for not mourning sincerely. Yeah. Just over a decade ago, we were like, oh, North Korea is bad because they punish people if they're not genuinely mourning. And we were like, thank God we got that thing called free speech. Fast forward to the year of our Lord 2025, where the government is now saying, listen, we're going to crack down on all those things that you're saying that we don't like. We used to have this thing. What was it called? We had this thing. What was it? We had this thing. It was called the First Amendment. It shielded individuals from government censorship, liability for expressing ideas, opinions, even those that are offensive or unpopular. This used to be like a thing. We used to have free speech here in America. In the year of our Lord 2025, I would say in my vision quest, welcome, I'm Rob. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Welcome to the vision quest. This is a vision quest for a better. What are we really living on? A better circle? I guess it would be a sphere. A sphere. This is my vision quest for a better sphere to live on. A better pebble. Universal pebble. That's what we're living on. I guess that's what it would be. We live on a cosmic pebble. Yeah, that's what it is. So this is my vision quest for a better cosmic pebble. And guess what, folks? You can do it too. Now is a pivotal time. You don't have to be obedient. You don't have to shut up and be obedient like the government's telling you to. It's amazing. There were people that, walked around with "Don't Tread on Me" shirts. And now, well, maybe they duct taped over the "don't." Because there was like this whole movement of like, "Don't tread on me. The government can't tell me what to do." And I thought, maybe it was silly for me to think this. I thought those people were like, well, I believe this for all Americans. I believe this for the country. I believe it for America in general. I was silly to think that. I thought that "Don't Tread on Me" shirt stood for America. Apparently, it only stands for their team, not America, the United States of Trump. That's what "Don't Tread on Me" stood for with those "Don't Tread on Me" folks. I have a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt because I believe that, some people are spouting off horrible things. And, unfortunately, Jesus tells me to say, God bless you, bless your heart, as they say in the South. But, that's what you get to say, even though it's unpopular. And like Tim above ground pool, even when his beliefs align so much that Russia will create a fake person to David Gregorian, that he'll do no research into and just accept that he's getting paid enormous amounts of money. He'll just say, you know what? It was my timing, baby. It's the come up. That's what Tim Above Ground Pool was saying. He said, there's nothing suspect about the heaps and heaps of money being thrown at me by a guy who has no record on the internet, which is funny, because at a certain age, you'd figure there's be some kind of footprint of you on the internet. And even as stupid as he is and as harmful to America as he is, I didn't think the government should threaten him to silence him. But here we are in a day and age, in the year of our Lord, 2025, where all the don't tread on me people are like, well, let's tread on a certain group of people. Let's tread on the people I don't agree with. That's what the shirt really should say. Mantis, welcome to the live, Mantis. Welcome to the live. MAGA hates cancel culture unless they're the ones doing the canceling. Correct. And now, folks, now is a pivotal time in America. Because if you hate cancel culture, guess what? Yesterday, Jimmy Kimmel got canceled. And I had to go through the normal rebuttals. They go, well, isn't that an amazing thing that corporations can fire stuff that they don't like when it's being said? That's not what happened. The corporations are rushing to be obedient to the regime. If you like history at all, that's stuff that free speech doesn't protect. If you like history, you should look up to like late 1930s, 1940s Germany and how corporate complicity fueled their regime. And they thought, it could be very profitable. They thought it could be profitable. And then if you look up Sinclair Media, you're going to see a lot of them in the news. Sinclair Media thinks that, where is it? Sinclair says the Kimmel suspension is not enough. Links in the description for these articles. Sinclair Media, which if you've seen that that video going around on Reddit, where it's all the Sinclair broadcasters saying the same propaganda across, I'm guessing, the Midwest. That's where Sinclair operates heaviest. But Sinclair is rushing to be obedient right now. It's very profitable. If you don't know, Donald Trump, the president, is suing a bunch of media outlets. And this $15 billion defamation case against New York Times literally says he was treated unfair. There's your Skibbity Rizma, Beta Cuck, tough guy. Unfair. He didn't like it. It wasn't fair. Well, I hate to break this to you. There's a lot of unfair stuff in life, and you don't just get to sue everybody, but that's apparently what he does. And he just happens to be the president of a regime here in America where he utilizes the FCC to not renew licenses, where he gets to oversee Sinclair Media and Nexstar, or there's another corporation where they're all trying to do these mergers. And when they have these giant mergers where many companies become one, because, that's what America likes to do, have monopolies, they need government approval. So what do you think they're doing? Well, they're rushing right now. Not Russian. They're rushing. Sinclair is rushing to show Trump how complicit and obedient and how much they, bend the knee and kiss the ring. They're saying they want additional action. The FCC head, we talked about him yesterday, already threatened. And then you saw ABC and Disney immediately comply. Why? Again, folks, if you're a longtime subscriber, hit subscribe, notification bell. We say this often. Corporations are not your friend. They don't exist. I know those Coca-Cola bears want you to think that, they just want you to have a Merry Christmas and drink a Coca-Cola and try not to get diabetes once Coca-Cola is the only legal drink you can have. But in truth, those Coca-Cola bears would rip your face off. Polar bears are, I believe, the biggest bear. Are they bigger than grizzlies? Does anybody know? They're one of the biggest bears. We'll keep it like that. And those Coca-Cola bears, they just want the profit, baby. All these corporations, they just want to meet Wall Street's expectations. What is that? Continuous profits It doesn't matter if they're in a finite system. They need continuous profits, more and more and more. There is no satiating the greed. And for those of you who like that dude Jesus, I love him, my Lord and Savior. Uh, you should look up what Jesus thinks about greed before you start jumping to defend corporations and the road we're hoeing right now. Chief, what's up? I am Reverend Rob, your vibe coach, your official vibe coach. Say it how it is with an exclamation point. Says, you think he was right to say what he did? Yes, 100%. And I'll never back down from that. I think Jimmy Kimmel had every right to make fun of the president and call one of the stages of grief construction, which was funny. You don't, apparently, because you could ask that question. Because the only people you don't even, again, I'm going to teach you something. I'm your vibe coach. Hit subscribe, notification bell. Sometimes the comments in the live stream are more telling about the people than anything. Because if you even if you think the narrative right now in America is not corporate capitulation, corporations racing to be obedient because they think it's more profitable, and they see that the wind is blowing where we have a regime that has sued any media that's unfair to the president because he needs a safe space. He always needs a safe space. You can't say anything bad. That's why they call it a cult of personality, because at any given time, they'll say, hey, president, you look the best. We've never had someone so great in the history. Don't you find that weird? Do you not know anyone in your life where anytime they come around, everything's got to be amazing and the best and all that? Like, it's fake. That's not how life goes. It reminds me of when the big bosses come into a building and all of a sudden every corner of the wall is polished and there's not a cobweb there, and you're like, this isn't how it normally looks at work. The microwave smells weird. Why does it look so nice? Oh, the big boss is coming. We're going to pretend everything's amazing. That's what America's doing right now. But what tells me about the comments, thank you, Chief, for cleaning it up. And Chief, if there's just criticism or if they're making fun of me, let them make fun of me. That is fine. Again, I know they hate that, what we're talking about. They hate anybody saying anything about that they don't like, but I'm fine with it. If they're just going to make fun of me, if they're saying, listen, I'll give you a warning right now, because Chief is in the chat, folks. Much respect, solidarity, Chief. You say anything racist, misogynist, transphobic, homophobic, all that stuff. You spew any hatred, Chief's going to boot you. You can come back tomorrow and try again. You get a 24-hour timeout. I love that YouTube calls it a timeout. But what tells me more about the say it how it is exclamation point, which is ironic you have that name. Your name says say it how it is. And then your question is, you think I'm guessing you meant Jimmy Kimmel. That's the biggest news. Why would it be like, hey, you think my dad was right to say what he said? Because I have no idea. But the big news that we're referring to with Sinclair and Kimmel, you think he was right to say what he said, is that here in America, you don't have to be right to say shit. I'll bring it up again. Well, let me show you this. Government doesn't announce it becomes fascist. It says anti-fascists are enemies of the state. And if you consider yourself America, you're anti-fascist. My grandfather, who fought in World War II, was anti-fascist. He fought against the fascists. But let me bring this up. First Amendment means the government can't tell you what to say. And the fact that the narrative by ironically say it how it is saying you think he was right to say what he'd said, that's not the story here. You're distracting from what's going on. What's going on is yesterday the FCC went on the FCC chairman, what's his name, Andrew Carr? He's got the whitest ass name ever. Andrew or Brendan. Maybe it's Brendan Carr. That's it. He's an absolute dumpster fire. He's a Heritage Foundation, far-right Project 2025 guy. And he went on and threatened the licenses, because these corporations got to get licensing from the government. He threatened their licensing. And instead of Disney or ABC being like, that's not a license issue, like, we're not doing anything that's outside of the FCC guidelines. I worked in radio for 20 years. I'm well aware of what the guidelines are. Kimmel did nothing outside of his normal show. But the government all last week expressed, if you don't mourn correctly, we're going to do everything in our power. We're going to not listen to the First Amendment, and we're going to censor and come after anybody that does anything that we don't agree with. So the First Amendment doesn't exist in America. And you're watching it real time. And then there's some people, ironically with the name, say it how it is, saying, well, do you believe what he said was right? It doesn't matter. There have been people like Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, who's that other asshat? There have been people back into the 60s that were saying the most heinous stuff, the most racist, misogynist, gross things that I disagree with. But at no time was I saying the government needs to threaten their jobs. And somehow people have skipped over all that and they're like, well, was it funny? You know, it was a tasteless joke. I really think he deserved to be off the air. Like, that is not the conversation here. The conversation is, are we America? Or are we North Korea? What are we, folks? You can't have it both ways. You can't wear a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt, and when the government says we're going to censor what people say, and if you go public and make a post about not mourning the correct way, then we are going to come after you. That is literally anti-American. It doesn't become any more anti-American than that. And the thing is there's some people now. Some call these people dum-dums, okay? A lot of people are saying they're dum-dums. Am I doing the political hands correctly? A lot of people are calling these people who are distracting from the real issue dummies, the dum-dums. A lot of people are saying it. Not me. I'm trying to defend and educate. I'm trying to say somebody with the name, with the handle, say it how it is. You would imagine them being a free speech champion, absolutist, as some ironically said it. You would figure those people would be for saying it how it is. And you could say, well, it wasn't funny, but, you know, the whole great part of America is you can have, I mean, Jesus Christ, folks. Joe Rogan is paid $100 million on Spotify, and he's like the least funny fucking person out there. Are we calling for Spotify to cancel his contract? Maybe some of you are. It's sad that there's so many people that a lot of people are calling you dumb. A lot of people are calling you dumb. But there's so many people that are so quickly ready to be obedient and shut up. And these people, ironically, just a little while ago, you know, were wearing "Don't Tread on Me" shirts. What did you think the "Don't Tread on Me" stood for? Was it just don't tread on me with your opinions and beliefs? Do you understand the "Don't Tread on Me" came from like the government can't censor you. The government can't tell you to mourn correctly. And that's what's going on. And it's sad that there's some infinitely online people. Manny Castro says, we are North Korea. Well, unfortunately. And then there's people that, you know, these are bad faith actors. Salty Colonel. He wasn't fired for free speech. He was fired for bad ratings. That's not true. 100%. Like 100% not true. Just like Stephen Colbert had the best late night ratings. And it's not. Again, I don't know how, what. I'm assuming you're consuming all this media that is really bad for you, because I've heard the media. I've heard the FCC chair go on and say, well, the ratings were bad anyways, and da-da-da, and they're trying to explain it away. I think it was Sean Hannity who had the dude on, and they were talking about how, back in my day, Jay Leno just shut the fuck up, number one. Because this isn't about the government regulating late night. It's not. And if you know anything about late night, it was always provocative and it always made fun of the news. And if you're not paying attention to what the news is right now, it's the government trying to censor your free speech. Again, this is a pivotal time in America, and there are some people that are dismissing it because that speech hurt their feelings. That speech didn't agree with their speech. And those are the people that are advocating for things to become more and more fascist. Again, need you to understand that the government doesn't announce that they are become fascist. They announce that anyone who's anti-fascists are the enemies. Now, I don't know if you know anyone, probably not, that served in World War II, but they were all anti-fascists. They fought a fascist Nazi regime. But it makes you understand why they want to defund education, why they want you stupid. Just smart enough to run the machines, as George Carlin said, and just dumb enough to not critically think. It's surreal at how many of these people, when we have stuff like this. This was a political comic from today. This is literally every Republican Christmas card, right? They say, we need to wrap this up. I don't want to be late to the press conference condemning leftists for promoting violence. I mean, if it wasn't so tragic, it'd be hilarious. That's why here on the channel, we had to create the term sad hilarious. It's sad, but it's hilarious. And then there's people say, can you explain to me how the government's becoming fascist? Again, I've done it. The FCC chair threatened, there's mergers going on. You'll keep hearing about mergers. Just Google mergers. Guys, you don't have to go to a library. Stop being stupid. Mergers need to be okayed by the government. They need that government stamping. So right now, Sinclair is racing to be the most obedient. They're saying suspension of Kimmel's not enough. We're going to air a Charlie Kirk memorial. Because that's like a normal thing that happens in America all the time. Jesus Christ, this is fucking weirdo land. So they're racing to show Trump how loyal to the crown they are. They're racing. So the FCC chair yesterday threatened the licensing on a podcast. And what happens in fascism is the government leader sends in troops to cities to crack down on any kind of dissent. Dissent, for those, some people call you dum-dums, but if you're an American, you should know what dissent is. Dissent is you're challenging the authority. You say, that's not true, that's not right, whatever it is. And dissent is very American. If you don't know how America started, there were a bunch of white guys who dissented against a king. Ironically, it's sounding very much like the times right now, except those white guys are going, you know what, he can tread on me because there's a few people like I don't care about over there. And the government all last week, maybe you didn't see any of the news, they came out, government officials, the president made a big speech about how, you better watch yourself, because if you don't mourn correctly, we're going to come after you. And that's what they did this week. The FCC threatened the licenses of the broadcaster Jimmy Kimmel, and in a race to be obedient, instead of challenging it and saying, no, there's First Amendment, the government can't come in and threaten our license because they didn't like what was said on a show. Like, instead of the corporations, because again, corporations are not your friend, they just want profits, and they think it's more profitable to listen to the government in case they need a merger, in case, they don't want to get sued. Again, this is why this is crucial that you understand Trump's suing everyone he thinks was unfair to him. This is kind of his MO. And the fascism takes place when these corporations rush to be obedient, so they're not the next one sued. They give up truth. They give up all the stuff that America was built on because they don't care. They don't exist for, these individual rights. Corporations only exist for money. They just want to make money. And they say, we'll figure out a different way to make money. We'll figure out a grift. Just like the president. He figured out grift. He probably bought his meme coin. So they gave up that free speech. They said, okay, the government's going to express that they want it censored, and we will oblige. They are obedient. And there's a lot of people that are like, yup, I like this. And all I can say to you is, you can like Trump all you want, but you're on the list. I know you think being white and maybe middle of America, you should ask the Arkansas soy boy farmers how Trump's treating them right now. Go look them up. See if they love how Trump's treating them. But, you know, unfortunately, that's like a big problem. That's why I say right now, man, right now, there's foreign agents, foreign actors. There's all these people who would love to see, you know, a regime take hold like they are in America. And it's very pivotal that the people aren't propagandized to be as stupid as they are. But you can only do the best you can. And I encourage everybody and anyone that believes in free speech, believes in the First Amendment, believes in America being a place where it doesn't matter if I think it's funny, if I don't like it, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. You could just explain the Joe Rogan program, the Polio Rogan program, and I would go, yeah, that checks them all off. Unfunny, dumb, constantly tricked by the internet, by TikTok, propagandist for the state, propagandist for big tech, propagandist. Joe Rogan's a propagandist for like banks, for big tech, Silicon Valley, Palantir, Peter Thiel, like all the things that I'm like, this is really destroying the minds of young men. But should the government go, you know, and I guess I got to put it like this. If this was a bigger, if this was a different government, right? I'd say we got Bernie Sanders in there. The Democrats would never let that happen. But if we got Bernie Sanders in there, would you guys be excited if Bernie Sanders was like, Joe, you're clearly doing like propaganda that's harmful to people. Like, we got to shut you down. Or is that when your "Don't Tread on Me" shirt kicks in? Is it like a Power Rangers belt buckle? You only pull it out when it affects you. Yeah, Nina, what Democrats? Exactly. We have Republicans and Republican light. A naughty potato. God, this chat is sad. Even if you don't agree, all you're doing is calling names and not trying to talk like we really in elementary school. Well, a naughty potato, here's the thing. Something I've learned being in the media for a while. I got these glasses at a restoration hardware parking lot. I put them on and I can identify deep fakes, AI, foreign actors, bad agents, people who argue in bad faith, and people who are just, you know, I would say they're like 50-year-old men who probably don't leave the house often. They're the reason we had to develop a term called incel. And they're just constantly mad at the world. And Naughty Potato, maybe I'll profit off of these one day and I'll duplicate them and replicate them so everybody can have one. Because while some of you guys get confused and think, wow, these people are sad, they're a small minority and they're usually got an agenda. They're out for revenge. They're mad at the world because of whatever circumstances have happened to them. They need full repercussions for everybody else that isn't them. And God forbid, you know, a bully plays the best victim if you say anything about them. I thought you leftists were supposed to be tolerant. You know, you hear that often. I thought you guys were supposed to be tolerant. Oh, it's always amazing that the bullies cry victim as soon as somebody stands up to them. And what I say to those people is, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. We don't like bullies here. We don't like asshats that, you know, go, don't tread on me only signifies me. The me, that's what it is. It's not that they got to tape over the don't on the tread on me part. It's that the me, it literally only means me. When they wear a don't tread on me shirt, understand that the me is physically just them. Just them. They don't give a shit about their communities. They'll watch the world burn and they'll go, is my house on fire? No? I'm cool. I'm just going to keep trying to log back into the internet. I wonder why it's down right now, you know? Some people call them maroons. And it's really sad. Because, you know, we could have nice things here in America. We totally could, guys. We 100% could have nice things. We could ban Congress from trading stocks. We could cap congressional salary. We could cap CEO pay. We could tax billionaires out of existence. And once they become 999,999,999 heirs, they're taxed at 100%. So we take all that. And then we give everybody health care. So nobody has to go, honey, I know you're having a heart attack, but an ambulance is going to run $5,000 to $7,000. Should we just call it Uber? I know the Uber rates have gone up. Oh, What's that? You're dying? Ah, shit. We'll call the Uber. And that's the American tale right now. And then there's people in the chat like, not my tax dollars, dummy. No, I didn't say your tax dollars. Don't worry. You can keep that 30 cents. While the rest of your taxes go to the Pentagon that can't fucking count a budget ever. The thing is we can have it. We have news stories. We have news stories right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention because the news has kind of been, what do they say in the UK? I said it the other day. Mental. I like that. The news has been mental. The news has been mental lately, right? But just earlier this week, I was reading news stories about Elon Musk becoming the first trillionaire. He's making that money exploiting people off government, also with government contracts. He's a union buster, if you don't know. So he's anti-worker. And he also makes that money by having our tax dollars make sure his companies don't fail. But instead of having a trillionaire, and for all the people, I just want to pose this question. It's a philosophical question. Don't worry, you don't need a calculator. But I want you to take this question with you. I'm planting the seed. Go around the rest of your day, and I want you to think, if you were one of the people that said, these immigrants are the reason, my job, my economy sucks. I want you to think about who has the most money. And if you believe there's a finite amount of money circulating in America, and your money is becoming less valuable, and you're getting less of the money, and you're finding it harder to buy egg, I want you to think about who maybe has all the money, who maybe does the layoffs. I've never been laid off by somebody a gay person who crossed the border and magically became CEO and then laid off a company and had billions of dollars. So I just want you to think for a second. I know this is going to be a tough question for some of you, but I just want you to think. If you're upset about the economy, you should wonder who is hoarding all the money. I'm not going to give you the answer. I know this is going to be puzzling for some of you because you guys are going to be like, well, is it gay people? Is it the immigrants? Is it the poor people crossing the border with nothing? So you're going to need a pen and paper. There's some of you who are going to need a pen and paper for this question. Who is hoarding all the money? Now, totally unrelated, we could tax billionaires. So there wouldn't be news stories of like, will Elon Musk be the next trillionaire? We should be like, wait, there's 1 in 5 kids are food insecure in America. That means 1 in 5 kids goes hungry every day. And that's America. The people that love to wave American flag and be like, I love America. They should also then finish the statement, I just hate some Americans. You should say that. Because, like, Say It How It Is said, Kiki Starnova, I have to... Sometimes, chat, I absolutely adore and love you. And I just need to take a moment to say, Kiki Starnova, you win the chat today. You win the chat today. I'm going to read your comment. But we need to take a moment. We need to mourn correctly at how funny that was and how comedy is now illegal. Comedy once was legal, I think. Elon Musk announced it was legal. And with comedy becoming illegal here in America, let's take a moment to really mourn this comment. Kiki Starnova said, these people will need crayons. So, folks, take the crayons out of your nose. Stop chewing on it. I saw you. Stop eating the crayons. I need you to figure out who is hoarding all the money in America. This is a tough question for some of you dummies. Some of people are calling you dummies. I'm not. I'm the teacher. I'm just posing you questions, okay? So now instead of letting billionaires exploit the workers, just so you know, the workers are the people who voted and were like, eggs are really expensive. And Elon Musk was like, what could it cost, Michael? $50 an egg? I don't know. I'm going to be a trillionaire. So instead of like the mindset of like, yeah, let's have a trillionaire and then let's keep trying to figure out where all the money's going. Wonder where all that money's going. Wonder where our taxes are going to. We should get a receipt for our taxes, shows that the government's spending that money appropriately. Because right now we don't have healthcare. Right now we have a housing problem. There's, I think, 25 houses, 26 or 25 empty homes for every homeless person. And instead of going, hey, we got a ton of houses, let's just put the homeless people in the houses. Instead, you have a president, and some of you are being obedient very quickly. Some of you, when the president's on his way to golf, paid for by the taxpayers, he's going, I don't like seeing those people without homes, make it illegal. And some of you are like, yeah, that's how we solve the problem, not realizing the answer is there. This is why I pose it. You are going to need a lot of crayons for this shit, because some of you have been propagandized so deeply to think that, like, it's better to criminalize them, even though the proof is in Utah, at the turn of the century, they were spending about $16,000 per taxpayer on the homeless problem. And somebody came in and thought, what if we just gave them homes and counseling? And some of you are not going to believe this, and I would encourage you to read Rutger Bregman, the Dutch historian's book, Utopia for Realists. And this is outlined there. And the way they got rid of, almost eradicated homelessness, it dropped by, I think, something in the 70%, is that they just gave them housing and counseling. And guess what? It saved the taxpayer money. Taxpayers, instead of paying 16 grand a person, they paid 11,000. So it saved them on the overall costs. So the way you get rid of homelessness is because if you have somebody who doesn't have a home, the problem is they don't have a home. You give them a home. And that's how we could fix things. Because, you know, we have an abundance of shit here in America, but only, again, this goes back to the first question, there's an abundance of stuff. There's going to be someone who's going to be a trillionaire. Okay, folks? A trillionaire. Now, who do you think has all the money in America? I know this is tough. Some of you guys are just not going to figure it out. Some of you guys are actually answering wrong to the question. Some of you guys are going, money for nothing? You want something for nothing? No, we pay taxes. We don't want our taxes going to a trillionaire. Simple as that. You know, very easy. I'd rather my taxes pay for a kid to get a new wheelchair or make sure an old person has their prescriptions. I would rather my taxes make our communities better, not worse. Not help a guy become a trillionaire because he can't make his businesses run correctly and he buys Twitter and then 70% of the value goes away because he platforms racists. The people who hire the majority of workers in America, Jeff Hill, I'm gonna give you a question to that. What kind of jobs are they giving these people? Are these the jobs where I have to hear about people getting a second job? Because I would say those jobs are shit. How much are they paying themselves over their workers? Are they paying their workers enough for that worker to survive in their area? These are the questions that you stop asking when you say, the people who are job counter goes up. There we are. We're live. We're back, folks. We're back in action. Suck it. Suck it, government, trying to censor me. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. No, it probably will. Just kidding. I love the people like Barney Fife, who says this guy's just mad because he doesn't fit in with the rich people. Barney, a lot of people call you stupid behind your back. I hate to be the one to break this to you, Barney. A lot of people are like, that guy is an asshole. Nobody likes him. I hate to be the one. I really didn't want to tell you this, Barney, but a lot of people are coming to me and saying you suck, Barney. A lot, like a lot of people, because it's the way you think. That's what they said. They said, Barney, the way you think is dumb, and grow up. But, you know, I believe there's redemption for everyone. That's why I try to deprogram people from their propaganda mindset, where they're like, listen, man, I know the government is threatening companies to remove language they don't like. And I'm just going to find an excuse. I'm going to think it's like the ratings. That's why this naturally happened right now. It was the ratings that he got pulled off the air. You know, like it's dumb. I'm calling it. What is it? They're calling it stupid thinking. That's what they're calling it. Blood Inc. Majority of people without enough work, plenty already. Well, that's the other thing you're hearing about, how there's like 45 people for every job opening because, you know, tariffs were just such a supreme idea. Jim Bramble says hi. Kiki Starnova is still here. Good to see you, Kiki. Good to see you back. Oh, Jeff, you're like, you're on the precipice of asking like decent questions. You say, so if they didn't destroy the small businesses, wouldn't those businesses become big businesses and then want to destroy them too? Not all. He's like, listen, every small business eventually becomes a monopoly behemoth like Amazon. There's no, like, stop. But I need you to just stop right there. I just want you to think about the words you're saying. It's okay. It's okay. Timu says gay shirt. Yep. Again, this is what we're competing with, people. The eternally online Discord, Reddit chatters that are just absolutely I don't know if they're, see, this is why I can't figure out the like 20 something year olds and the 60 something year old white men are all blurbing together. They're all becoming this one like gluttonous glob of just, I hate anyone that disagrees with me. Like, this is what TikTok did to your brains, folks. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Because whatever the algorithm that keeps feeding you stuff that only says things that you like and you can't hear anything else, and you get offended to think Americans should work one job and be able to buy a home, and that one job should be a minimum wage job. You probably don't know about FDR and why the minimum wage was implemented, and that FDR said if your business has to exploit people and can't pay people enough, your business shouldn't exist here in America. You know, that used to be when we were like what you consider the good old days. Maybe that's not what you consider the good old days. I'm scared to learn what you think it is. And it's just sad, man, because, you know, we could have a cool ass place where people own their homes. Like, if you ever watch what's that show where the upside down, the opposite world, Stranger Things. You ever watch Stranger Things where all the kids ride their bikes to each other's house? There might even be a single mom that has a home. Like, we could have neighborhoods where everybody owns their home and one parent stays home and the other parent works. I don't give a shit who's who. But like, that used to be like a thing in America where you could like work one job, buy a home, not worry about, you know, medical debt, credit scores, shit like that. Like, we could do this, folks, but you have to want that. And maybe some of you either, and this is why I said the 20-somethings and the 60-somethings. 60-somethings understand what I'm talking about because they were like, I lived through it. That's how I bought my house. You just need to work harder. And they don't understand, like, oh, we're living under a fascist regime right now that's making corporations capitulate to their hate mongering because they think it's more profitable. And then the 20-something-year-olds that have those old parents are like, everything's fine for me, dude. I'm going to play, I don't know what video game. Snake? Is that a game? Is that a game? Zelda? Are you playing Zelda? Donkey Kong. You're playing Donkey Kong. You're like, I'm playing Donkey Kong. I'm still on my parents. It's like Tommy Loren. Remember that guy? Tommy Loren was like mouthing off about Medicare. It turns out she was still on her parents' health care. Jeff, see, you say people live within their means. People are living under their means right now. Republicans taught you to think avocado toast purchases is why you didn't own a home. Like, Jeff, I need you to get your crayons out and think about how stupid it is that buying a latte once a month, saving that money would buy a home. Like, nobody's living outside their means. It's funny. You want to blame the corporate consumerist propaganda that's marketed towards people all day. Like, yeah, that's what it is. They bought a pair of Nikes and now they rent because of the Nikes. It's a brilliant argument, Jeff. I'm sure fucking some stupid fucking Tim Pool would totally back you, would pat you on the head. Say, good little obedient boy. Good obedient boy. A lot of you are just ready to be obedient to the government, and I fear that. You know, we used to have some spirit in America. We were like, listen, maybe I disagree with what you're saying, it's unpopular, but we have freedom of speech here and I'm going to defend it. We used to think that, and now a bunch of you simps, you skibbity beta cucks in the chat are like, he had bad ratings. I'm glad the government got him off the air. The government went after Stephen Colbert, New York Times, Jimmy Kimmel. They're going after anyone that disagrees or says something bad about Trump. And Trump is on the Epstein list. He is in the Epstein files. He just need to wake the fuck up.